We were in the middle of our tournament where my friend John said he found a body in the bushes over there. I ran over there because I'm a healing monk to try and help, but obviously my magic wasn't strong enough because the dude's body was missing a head. So my friend decided to try and use a necromancer spell, which didn't work, which I knew it wouldn't. And apparently we contaminated the crime scene because that spell uses a lot of glitter.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
I gotta tell you, you brighten my day, ma'am. All right?
That's what the last guy said, and then he sued me.
What's happening, people? Sorry that we are just a hair late. Mike and I were in the green room, and we started talking about dogs, and you know how I get when it comes to dogs. So, hey, Sarah Shock and Horror is here today. Glad that you came to see Mike. Sherry, thank you for your 5, my love. So glad to see you. Larry, what's happening, my friend? Hello, Nikki. Guys, please be sure to thank the mods today. It's going to be a day. It's probably going to be one of those days for our mods. Joanne, so nice to see you. Yeah, that was an awesome interview. I really liked, what was his name? Ricky? Randy? Rocky? Dang it. I was literally just watching it like before we started this. Thanks for being here, Trident. Glad to see you. Debbie, so glad to see all of you. Jeno, hey, so glad you're here. Hey, Jackie. I'm not going to bullshit y'all any longer. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. He has done so much for Massachusetts. He has done so much to bring light to all kinds of different issues. He has covered Karen Reed. He has covered Sandra Birchmore. And he has streamed, I think, every single Canton Select Board meeting since we all started following Karen Reed. So we have a lot to thank him for. Please, please, please be super warm and welcoming in the chat to my friend, Mike Crawford of the Young Jurks. Hey, glad to have you.
Thanks for having me tonight, Brett. I loved your intro. I thought it was hilarious today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got to give you compliments too. Like, you got the plural form of S right too, like in the title. Like I was so impressed by that. I was like, I don't even get that right. Like I'm like, did you go to Yale University or something? You're like, you're like English major or something.
I'm a little bit of a grammar stink. Like I don't know. I've always had a very particular thorn in my side when it comes to things not being written out correctly. So I actually had a lot of fun helping Melanie a little bit when she was going over the Supreme Judicial Court documents earlier this week for that reason exactly, because they did make a few grammatical mistakes. And she was like, I feel like this isn't right. I feel like this is bothering me. And I'm like, it's because it's not right. You are correct. Man.
Love it.
But
I'm
definitely, I'm a stinker about it.
Yeah, I used to write. I had an editor, and I would always I love my editor because he would, cover me. You know what I mean? If I screwed up something, and it's always funny to see what he would correct. And those are the types of things he would correct. So you're like on an editor level to me. You're like, I noticed that right away. I was like, look at the title. She even got the S plural right with the whatever you call that, apostrophe. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much.
Single, yeah.
Right. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, I appreciate that you appreciate that kind of stuff because a lot of people don't care at all anymore.
I do. It drives me crazy when I see other shows. They really like when they do something that's so like egregious, like you're just like, oh.
Yep. Yeah. And it just makes you cringe.
Yeah. And I've done shit like that myself. I do it myself. We're human, but
we're all human. 100%. Thank you for smashing the like, guys. I hope that you all leave your DNA evidence on the like button. And this is not a secret club, so if you'd like to share this video with a friend, please feel free to go ahead and do so. So, Mike, you have been talking a lot over the past week or two about an interesting topic. You've been considering some things. Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, it's really probably over I think the last 4 nights, maybe. I'm trying to remember when it started, but I've been, like you said, I've been covering Canton. I interviewed all the last candidates in the last election. We broadcast all the select board, even some of the other ones, school committee, audit committee, police audit, and interviewed all those candidates too. Had Rita Lombardi become a big star on our show last year. So I've been covering this, and I was, there's a select board race, and John, who is he's the current chairperson of the select board. He's also the longest serving member of the select board. And he's not nice to the citizens. And he's one of the ones who's not nice to women either. We just played some video of him a few weeks ago of the way he treated a previous woman on the board who was a wicked professional, awesome. She is so good. And she lost her seat to Chris Albert, this woman, Lisa Lopez.
Stop it.
And the way that John was treating her, this was a couple of years ago. We played the video. We found out about it. And I'm watching Lisa Lopez, and it was shocking to me just watching this video, because her body language and the way that she spoke and the way that she acted was everything that you want from your elected officials. She would look at people when she was speaking to them. She'd look them right in the eye. Everything that John Connolly doesn't do. John Connolly they'll be talking directly to him. He just looks straight ahead. He doesn't, and he treats them with disrespect, especially women. I've noticed, like Rita and this Lopez woman, who is, I thought she was probably the best select person I've seen from Canton at all the hearings so far that I've seen. And she lost to Chris Albert, which is crazy. I believe she's on a planning board or something now. She's or the housing. She did win an election. Last election, she ran for something and she definitely won. She is the best, Lopez. So this time, John Connolly is up for re-election, and it's a single candidate race. It's basically for one seat. There's not, there's 5 select board members, but there's only one seat up for re-election, and it's the chair, John Connolly, who's been there for 35 years, and he's the one that, doesn't treat the people the best. He called them random effed citizens. I don't know if you remember.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then can't even look them in the face when calling them that.
And he had to issue this fake apology after he called them random effing citizens on television at the select board meeting. So this is John Connolly. And so he's up for re-election, and there's one challenger, and she definitely has collected signatures. I'm pretty confident she's going to be on the ballot. But there was also Boston Mike, who hosts a show with Tom in the mornings, and he's a Canton resident. He was thinking about running. And, basically we were reaching out, through mostly our fans, because I was talking about Susan Harrington and basically wanting to support her, knowing that there was going to be a candidate. And a lot of our viewers were hitting me up, especially from Canton, and saying, you got to get her on the show. Will you endorse her? All that stuff. And I said to one of them, hit her up. And I said to another one, hit her up, let her know, see if she's interested in coming on our show. And basically I heard back right away that she wasn't interested in doing YouTube shows. And I was like, what? And the last election was interesting. The last select board election, where Rita Lombardi was running and another woman named Trish was running. And they were both challenging incumbents. It was a 2-seat race with 4 candidates.
Oh, okay.
And Trish got the most votes by being kind of not vocal. You didn't see her at the Canton Select Board. You didn't see her speaking up about the McAlberts. She basically did door knocking and meet and greets, and it really worked for her. But at the same time, in a 2-seat race, the voters get to vote for up to 2 people. And
Oh, right.
Rita Lombardi is a firebrand, and she was
She
on
is.
every show, fired up, all the
Mhm.
stand-up like, sign holders, and she basically it looked like she told her sign holders to hold Trish signs too, and told all her voters to vote for Trish. Now Trish ended up with the most votes. Second place came to an incumbent. Third place was Rita Lombardi. Fourth place was another
Wow.
incumbent who lost his seat. So Rita Lombardi still beat an incumbent. That's actually a huge win. Anytime you challenger beats an incumbent, that is like that doesn't happen. So it was
No.
for Rita, even though she didn't win a seat. It was a big win for Trish. Obviously, she got the most votes. But I think
Definitely.
this time there was a thought that they're going to go more the Trish angle, and that they feel like if you're quiet, you play the middle, you'll get more votes.
Mm,
And it just kind of bothered me. I was just like, this isn't a 2-seat race. You don't have Rita Lombardi
right.
directing people to vote for you too. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's why I feel like Trish probably got the most votes. Not that she wasn't a great candidate. She did a lot of work, obviously. But you could see the same. I felt like I could see the same thing happening with Susan Harrington. We didn't see
Sure.
her. We didn't know who she was. Who is? All I know is she's a vet and she won't do YouTube shows. And
Now, being a vet tells me a lot of good things about her.
that's why I was all
but-
in up. That's why I was like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? I love
Yeah.
vets. Vets are like, they do God's work, man. That's
Absolutely.
hard job.
It
'Cause
is.
a lot of times you got to be putting down dogs. The hardest part of what I do, dog walking, is that every year, if I have 15 customers, every year I'm losing one. Every year
Yeah.
I'm letting a dog die that I love.
Yeah. And that's like such a vulnerable time for that family
Yeah.
too. And so you've got to be
So
good
I
with
think she must
people.
be good at crisis, right? Because she has to deal with that. That's what she's dealt with
Sure.
for decades. So I'm assuming Susan is good, but I'm concerned and I'm upset, and I'm like,
Absolutely.
so I decided, I'm like, I threw it out there. I said, maybe I should do a write-in campaign. Maybe I should, make a statement and show that, online and YouTube matter, and that you're giving up votes. You're leaving people that you can get off the table because you won't go to the platforms where everybody is.
And that's your strong suit.
Yeah, and I think that for me, I've been involved in campaigns for 25 years. The first time I ever gathered signatures was in 2000. 2000, when we ran all these PPQs. Those are public policy questions to build up to a ballot initiative. So, and I was part of like 3 campaigns in Massachusetts where we won ballot initiatives. I've worked on campaigns. Mostly what I've done is interview candidates and politicians, and a lot of them have won by 1 vote. And one
Wow.
election we talked about, city councilor in Boston, she did the YouTube shows. The other guy didn't. She won by 1 vote. You think it made a difference?
Well,
It did in that case.
and you got to remember, there are people who either they're just disabled or they don't like going out, who watch stuff like your show, and that's how they figure out who they want to vote for. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's important to kind of hit the nail on both heads and do the in-person stuff, collect the signatures, register people to vote, but also make sure that you're getting online, you're getting on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Because, like you said, I'm someone that doesn't like to go out much anymore, and I'm all over YouTube and social media. I'm watching this shit all the time. I'm 24/7. So I'm one of them. But there are other people who don't do any YouTube or social media, and they're all about the in-person. So you got to hit both. Like I said, you got to go where people are. You got to meet them where they are. And some people like the
Definitely.
in-person, some people like the YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. So I was frustrated, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk about it. And I brought it up on my show. I said, and I could tell people were into it right away. A lot of people. But I also knew some of the Canton people weren't going to be into it. I'm aware. And
Well, you
so
don't live there.
yeah,
That's
and
that's one
the
thing.
Yeah, I don't live there. That's a big part of it too. And so basically I just threw it out there, and I said, like we could do a write-in campaign. I don't even have to live there. And even if I won, I could still serve because the law says intend to live there. And within a night of talking about that, I said, I'm exploring it. I'm having the conversation. I'm not committing to it. I'm not actually. I call it the exploratory campaign because that's what a lot of like you want to find out if your family supports you. You want to find out if people in Canton support you. You want to find out if everywhere the internet supports you. Do you have it in you? Do you
dip the toe in?
Yeah, and like the residency and whether I'm going to do a sticker campaign or actually try to get in the ballot. I didn't even know if the deadline had passed. It's actually Tuesday. I could still collect signatures to get in the ballot today or tomorrow if I wanted to.
Sure.
So I was thinking about all this, and I said, I need to know if you guys support me and what you'd want to do, and I said if you want to make campaign signs and graphics, the next thing by the end of the night, by the morning, I had all these graphics. I had people saying, I'm going to send you money. I'm going to donate. I don't even live in Canton. I live in California. I'm going to fly in to hold a sign for you.
Right.
People in Canton saying they're going to hold signs. I got people offering me residency, saying I have a room in Canton. You can move in.
Oh my God.
You become a resident. So I'm like, shit. So that was great, but mostly it was, my viewers, the people nationally. And I also ran some polls, on my YouTube page and Twitter. And I said, would you support me? And I even, some of them, I put the other candidates up and I had huge support. Like it was like 800 votes that I got one night out of 1,000. So I was like, wow, this is crazy.
An overwhelming surplus. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I can't really do this. And mostly what I wanted to do, like in my heart, like when I'm thinking about this, why I was doing this, why was I even considering this? Because I want to prove a point. I wanted to prove that Susan Harrington was missing out. That, and the fact is, like, if I had done this against Rita Lombardi as an announced candidate, I wouldn't have got 800 votes on my own channel. Rita would have got 800 votes.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Like, I'm just basically saying, like, if you give it up, you're missing out on all these people because they want to see you. They want to know who you are. Like me, I don't know who you are. I've never seen you. I don't know anything. Like I look at we even found out she had a website. We looked at the website, it seems kind of generic. It's like, what is this? Like you got to show us who you are. Don't just tell us to come down and meet you in person because I can't get down there. It's an hour and a half each way. I'm so busy. Like,
Yep.
But that's also another reason why it seems crazy to even consider running. All right. So I'm having all these conversations and some people are getting mad at me from Canton because they're supporting her. And some of them are my friends. A lot of them say, Mike, I love you. I want to support you. But Susan's the one, And then
she's the one for the job. Yeah.
My own girlfriend who mostly stays out of everything I do. She's aware. She's not like such a fit. Like we all have. Both of us have our own creative pursuits. We support each other, but we're not like involved. We've always tried to stay out. When she used to have a radio show, I might have co-hosted a couple times when mostly just driving in when there was a blizzard or something and a co-host would be there, I'd co-host, but I never wanted to be a part of her show. I wasn't, because that's her thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how she kind of treats what I do too. Like we have respect for what we do. But she was like, oh, here comes the big white man. So she was giving me the
oh no.
Leave that lady alone, she said, and I'm just like, I know she kind of has a point, and when your own family is that's a big part of it. So I kind of knew I'm probably not running, but at the same time, I was like, I got to keep this going because number one, it's raising awareness. It's raising awareness that there's an election going on. Us YouTubers have, we could cover Karen Reed. Like I just replayed the Matt McCabe testimony for like the third time, twice in 2 days. Huge numbers, way more numbers than I get anything for covering the Canton Select Board. So it's like, and if we don't have anything to show the people about the Canton Select Board, then it's like it sucks. Like it's because I feel like it needs awareness. I feel like people need to know what's going on in this. Because we want to unseat this guy, John Conley. So that was another part of it. And I felt like if I do this, if I continue to kind of raise hell about it, it's going to force the Susan Harrington campaign to do what they should. I feel like they should be doing is going online and especially video. Like
Yeah.
you need to do video. I don't care if, like I said, not my channel. I want her to go on your channel, Brett. I want her to go on Nurse Kim. Those would
Yeah,
be like,
she's welcome anytime.
Yeah.
I will have. I am all about supporting other women. I mean, anytime. So she is more than welcome.
and there's also Canton Chronicle, who just started, John Como. He's a longtime Canton guy.
Love
Mad
John.
Media. Yeah, LTL Media. I want to see her on those programs. People will treat her nice. They're respectable. You're respectable. So that was another part of it. I was trying to make a statement, kind of, and what happened is, so it's, basically what happened is, all of a sudden, Liza Colburn, who is Sean Colburn's wife. Sean's spoken a lot at the Canton Select Board. Someone I really like and respect. I guess she's working on this campaign for Susan Harrington, and she dropped 3 links to where Susan Harrington had spoke before the Select Board, and they were actually broadcast on the Young Jurks. It was YouTube links to my show, my broadcast, which I obviously missed because there's so many people speak. It's easy to miss one.
Yeah, there's been so many, and it's been over the course of a couple years now. I get it. Plus, usually Rita's the star of the show. If it's the same night that she speaks, people are screen recording Rita.
Absolutely. And so all of a sudden we get these links, and I'm like, I gotta watch these. And I've been so busy, I didn't get to watch them before the show. But last night, Boston Mike, who is a Canton resident, who hosts the show, I love her to go on his show too. He and I, basically co-hosted a little show last night about it, and we discussed it, and then we played the videos. And Mike, Mike was somebody that's, like I said, he was going to run for the office. He was talked out of it to back Susan Harrington. He was probably going to vote for Susan Harrington, but he kind of liked what I was doing. He was like, keep going. Like, you're raising awareness. You're going to, force her to, I may even consider voting. He was, going back and forth whether he could see. It's fun, And so we play the videos, and Mike is like, Boston Mike totally changes tune. He's like, Mike, I'm not voting for you anymore. And I do right then. Like, I was like, thank God. Cause like, I didn't want to run. I don't want to run. It's so much. I have too much on my plate as it is. I don't like the shit to be about me. I know it's weird to say that when you host a show, but that's why I like the interviews. It's really about the guest.
And that's the thing. Like, it isn't really about you when you have guests on, you know. So I'm 100% there with you.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw that video, I was like, holy shit, this woman is a phenomenal speaker. She is so good, and she's on point. Like her points are so like precision. Like we should just play the videos, because I mean, I think once people see it, I think they recognize what I did, that there is no need for me to run. I'm not running. I'm basically my exploratory.
Susan Harrington, 45.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll say
My
that.
bad.
My exploratory campaign is over. I am definitely not running for Canton Select Board. And I think you're going to make up your own mind. But if you care about my endorsement or who I support, I'm supporting Susan Harrington. She is the clear person that we want to elect. And as my girlfriend said, the big white man is standing down. I'm getting behind Susan Harrington for Select Board. And I think the big thing now is we're going to focus on John Conley. There's a lot of old video that we could find of him as well, when he called people effing random citizens, things like that. So we need some stuff coming up. And I think for the Canton audience or anyone who wants to help, I want to thank everybody. So many people stepped up, sent me graphics, offered. Jessica, who does a lot of the standouts, offered to hold my signs. I just want to thank everybody who reached out and supported me, and even the people who were like, I don't want you to run, but reached out, like your feedback. Rita called in one night about it. Jay called in from Canton. I love these people. Like, I love that we can talk. We can even get nasty a little bit. But we all want the same thing, and we'll get over it because we're actually all working towards the same thing. And I think even Rita recognizes, a lot of people recognize, that this was actually helpful in a way, because it got this video out there. This is what's going to convince a lot of people online that don't know. Once they watch this video, they're like, Susan Harrington. A lot of people were like, Mike, I'm supporting you. They watched the video last night and they're like, Susan Harrington, no more Mike. And we had a poll going. And as soon as we played the video, my numbers went down, Susan's went up. So
Perfect.
that's what it's about. That's what, I just hope that they do more of this. I want to see them. She is an asset. She is a natural born speaker. This woman knows her shit. Like, I am impressed and that's the thing. Once you see somebody, once you have video of them, you get a feel, who they are. And that's what's so great about them. You can't hide. You can't hide with video. You can hide behind a website and words and all that stuff. And even sometimes in person meeting, people can get conned. But when a video camera is on you, there's really no hiding. And this woman comes through. So I'm 100% endorsing and supporting her. My exploratory campaign is over. And yeah, let's win. We got to make sure Susan Harrington wins and replaces John Conley.
Definitely. And we got to make sure that she brings back in-person select board meetings. I think that's a major point of conflict right now.
Definitely. And she's going to bring up Chief Rafferty in this video. That's the
excellent.
That was what's killing me and Mike too. We're like, we want to know where this woman stands on Chief Rafferty. Will she hold Chief Rafferty to a task? Will she rein in the issues with the Canton Police Department? And if you watch this video, you have your answer. And that's what Boston Mike and I were, and a lot of people that were kind of looking at my campaign, we're concerned about. We want someone who's going to be strong. We need someone in there that will
someone with a backbone.
Yeah. So we found out, and yeah, the video speaks for itself.
All right, I'm gonna play it for everybody. Let's go back to the beginning here. Oh Lord, what have I done?
Susan Harrington, 45 Spruce Lane. I wanted to bring up the topic of the body-worn cameras. It came up organically this evening, but and I wanted to bring your attention to a very timely recent article. This is on the New York Times Sunday magazine about issues with body-worn cameras. And while this article dealt largely with fatal shootings by police officers across the country, I think there's lessons we can learn from this. And I just want to bring it to your attention because what we're going to do with this footage once we have it is something we have to think about now. And in community after community, when there are fatal shootings, the footage, for the most part, does not see the light of day. And the reason why is because the police department controls it. And when it is finally litigated and released, it most often does not match up with the narrative that the police department was providing about what happened. That could be because they released an edited version of the footage or didn't release any footage.
I'll stop. This is how good she is. Think about what we're talking about with the Sally Port, the edited. She predicted it. She freaking predicted it.
Yep.
Like that, like right there, my jaw hit I was like, this is in 2024, January 2024. So this was over a year ago. She predicted, you know what I mean? Like
100%.
All that,
and this would have solved, if any of you guys are aware of the issues with Just En Route, what she's talking about here would have solved half of the issues that Jen Root is facing right now. Yep. There were hardly any officers with his shooting who even wore body cams. And one guy turned his off, left it on his chest, turned it off. And another guy actually pulled it off his chest and threw it into his cruiser before, doing what they did. So, this would have solved so many issues before they even happened.
Yeah. And she's talking about the body cameras and the fact that the storage of the material and how they who's going to hold it and how the cops release it. And I love that she identified a major issue that did show itself in the Karen Reed trial.
Yep, because they held their security cam footage.
Yeah, we still don't have that footage. And she addressed it. Like she said, she's getting right to it. Like that this woman is a thinker. She is like ahead of herself, like ahead of a lot of us. Like
Mhm.
I was in awe just from that, but we could play the rest of it. She is good.
Footage at all. And your job as the select board is to provide civilian oversight of the police department. And I have heard at these meetings repeatedly that you don't tell the police how to do their job. So that leaves me feeling very uneasy about this. And let me just say, I'm very much in favor of body worn cameras. I just think we have to be thoughtful about how we use them. This is a quote from a former deputy commissioner to the New York City Police Department. And he says, mayors, city council members, all locally elected officials should be losing sleep over the lack of meaningful, independent oversight of police. This isn't Canton. This is every single police department across this country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Can I recoup her 57 seconds?
And tell them this is what you're looking for.
Rita. Yeah, definitely a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, there's more. We got two more appearances by her.
Oh, okay. So awesome.
I just put them all together in one clip.
Excellent. Look at you, Mike. Thank you.
This is what we want.
Because he came back pretty firm, pretty authoritarian, saying that he is.
There's oppositions on both sides, which would actually,
Okay,
which is actually be good for this committee because you want opposite views.
You
So why
too.
don't you reach out to Mr. McCarthy?
I will.
And then at this point, I think we should just put something together and then
Okay. I'll reach
we'll
out.
start working from there. Start
Okay,
going from
I
there.
do appreciate that. And I will reach out to him. He hasn't been very receptive, but I will reach out to him and I'll give it another shot.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you very much. And I appreciate it.
thank you.
He hasn't been very receptive.
So the process is that, oh, I'm sorry, my name is Susan Harrington.
Yeah.
The process here is that we're going to mail out to the 303 people who signed the petition to select the 2 people on this committee of 5 that were in favor of, who's to say if they actually voted for the audit at town meeting, but they voted to put it up for a vote for audit.
Right.
What is the process for selecting the other 2 members at large? Are we going to mail out cards to every person who didn't sign the audit and select from them? I mean, it's so lopsided and weird.
What is the
It makes no
composition-
sense.
Excuse me, I'm sorry for interrupting. What is the composition of this board, of this committee?
You have the 2 and 2. The chair, the one that Mrs. Scollins delegated, then that chair appoints 2 citizens at large, we'll call them, and then 2 from the petitioners.
See how dishonest they are too. He's like 2 and the question
Yeah.
was, what is the composition of the board? He said
Yep.
2 and 2.
2 and 2.
No, it's 2 and 3 actually,
3.
because you don't count the chairperson. That's like Mike Lawford. Can you not count? Can you not answer a question correctly? It's just, and Susan was so right here too. This is Rita and Susan calling out the BS for the police audit.
Okay, so there it is right there. So,
But that does not make any
but
sense.
that's the way the article is written. Am I correct?
No, this whole
you're
vote,
not.
this whole, we're going to poll the petitioners. That is not in the language of the article. This is the whole
See, this
reason.
is what's so great. You got these select board members asking, isn't that what's in there? No, it's not. And the citizen, Susan, knows that it's not in there. Like
She's coming with the receipts. Yeah.
That's why she needs to be on this board.
They're
Yep.
upset. This is something that Bob McCarthy has fabricated as the process, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Seal clap for Susan.
You don't have the
Sure.
authority to change. Mr. McCarthy has to make the decision. So I think that you were right to ask Rita to reach out to Bob directly and have that conversation.
So he's now the king of this process, and no matter how many people disagree with it, whatever he says goes. That's your position. I just want to understand.
The way the article was written and the way that it was voted at town meeting, this board doesn't have the authority to undo town meeting.
Lie. You did do. That's exactly what they did do. Actually, that's what you did, Mike.
Oh my word.
You didn't actually follow what they said. It's unbelievable.
In Canton resident. First, I want to say that I flat out condemn social media bullying, particularly of young adults. I understand that it's been rampant and it is not okay whatsoever. I have a few comments related to the state of Canton and the renewal of Chief Rafferty's contract. I also want to urge the thousands of Canton residents watching this trial and select board meetings from home to please attend these meetings and write to the select board. This is particularly for the 903 who voted for the independent audit in November. The email address is bos@town.canton.ma.us. The select board will soon decide whether to extend or renew our police chief's contract, or instead begin a search for a new chief. To many of us, this decision will represent either complacency with the status quo or a fresh start. Chief Rafferty has dedicated 30 plus years to Canton, and we are thankful for this service in her role as acting chief and now chief. In recent years, she's presided over what we now know to be a botched response to at least one homicide. She's also dispatched off.
Bob, I'm so sorry to hear that. He just said in the chat, the man that Rafferty ran over in that crosswalk, I'm sure you've heard of that incident, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Is a family friend of his. He has had 13 surgeries and will never be the same. And Rafferty has never even called him to apologize. All that she got was a $200 ticket. And guys, this is just, this is one thing that I hope that we all, ask for from whoever takes this seat on the Canton Select Board. There seems to be an issue with selective policing and selective prosecution in Canton. So I hope that's remedied.
Two sets of rules. Yeah. You're either part of the club or you're everybody else. That's the way
it's. Man, I'm so sorry about that, Bob.
Officers in ways that pose potential civil rights violations. As any organization, the leader is the role model. In this room last August, she doubled down on her stance about the O'Keefe case when she emphatically stated that there was no cover-up. This was well before the trial began, and town officials have been restricted from commenting about details, let alone their take about the ultimate outcome. Most important, what concerns so many of us is that regardless of who the defendant is or could have been, the police response was so poor that those missteps alone could warrant enough doubt to cripple any prosecution. I fear that they may never be justice for Officer John O'Keefe. Part of what makes a great community is strong relationships.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that was one of my big things too. I was afraid that they were worried about saying the name John O'Keefe in public. And we find the video and she said the name John O'Keefe. And that was powerful. So
yeah, and it was right in the middle of the trial too. I mean, right when it was at its most, the zit was about to pop, So yeah, she's definitely willing to put herself out there. I respect that.
It takes what I liked about her speech here too is that she credited the chief with her service, but then took her to task on the real stuff and civil rights violations. She really, I like this. I'm so looking forward to supporting Susan Harrington, and we got to win this. Yeah. We have to win this. We have to defeat John Conley. This has to be our goal until April.
And guys, I do have it linked in the chat at the very top, but if you guys would like to support Susan, I've got the link to her campaign pinned at the very, very top here of the chat. So make sure at some point that you visit that webpage. There's a donation link if you would like to give some support to her campaign. And at least take a look. At least take a look at what she's about. I've been through the site. She sounds like a stand-up woman. So I've got a lot of respect for her. Mike's endorsing her. Please give her a look.
Rita,
And
Rita Lombardi's endorsing her. Dennis
Yeah.
Sweeney's endorsing her. A lot of people. Sean Colburn and his wife Eliza Colburn. Boston Mike is supporting her. I know John Como's supporting her. Like, she's got the support.
Wow. And then Sarah, thank you so much for your 20. She's giving you some love, Mike.
Thank you.
And then Sherry D again with the 5. Yes, definitely. She I think Susan's gonna give Bob a run for his money.
John Bob's the audit chair.
Right. I think what she's referring to is just, kind of holding him accountable. But yeah, we're gonna kick John Connolly out of the seat.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank the two of you.
Bob has no power anymore. That audit team has taken over. So like that audit board has been disbanded. Yeah. So
Good.
he's done. We don't have to listen to Bob anymore.
Good. Yeah, we did not like Bob.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep playing.
But people are elected as leaders and charged with making tough decisions that require that those friendships at times be set aside for the good of the town. This is one of those times. We won't have the police audit findings and recommendations until next year, but we can assume in the meantime that without new outside leadership, we will continue to have more of the same, he's a great guy, responses to concerns. And this is the status quo that risks equal protection, safety, and costly lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington.
Love that. I love when she called. I love when she called Bob. She said, "What is he? The king?" And then this part about like, oh, he's a great guy. Like that. That is how Canton works. If you're a great guy, you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? I love. She addresses things so simply and so perfectly. And she could tell she's not rough around the edges like I am sometimes. She's like, it's perfect. She's got backbone. She knows what she's talking about. And
she definitely knows her stuff.
Yeah, addresses things and like even before they happen. Like I still in shock about the video. She was talking about
I know
the video. It could be edited, and then we get a Sally Port video that is edited. Talk about knowing her shit about what's going on.
Yeah, she called it before it happened.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Dr. Russell's Gasp. Dr. Russell's Gasp wants to know when we will be hearing about the audit. Do you know, Mike?
No, I don't. That's the thing. I'm hearing it's going to take a little while longer. I heard. See, I don't really know for sure, but I've heard some whispers that it's going to take longer than they expected. But I really don't know.
And then Brandy says April 8th is April 8th voting day.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, I think it's or is it the second? I don't know. I thought it was
hang on.
Tuesday in April, but maybe it's the second Tuesday. I don't know.
I feel like what I saw was the 6th. I'm pulling up her website
Usually it's
now.
the first Tuesday. Is the April 6th the first Tuesday? For some reason, they always do first Tuesday elections, I've found. Whether it's November or April, I believe.
Oh, April 8th. Yep.
Yeah. So
April 8th is election day.
Okay.
Sherry, oh my God. Are you hitting the super chat button by accident? This is our third one of the night.
Sherry D does that a lot.
We love Sherry. She's a huge supporter of this channel. She was actually the very first supporter of this channel. So thank you again, Sherry. You are such a generous, kind human. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, so guys, April 8th. So if you are in Canton, if you're a resident, get out there, vote for Sue Harrington. We're both big fans. She is on the right side of the John O'Keefe issue, and she seems to be on the right side of a lot of issues.
Yeah. The police, the police audit, as well as Bob, as well as Chief Rafferty. She'll hold Chief Rafferty into account. I can't wait. We got to get her elected. If she gets elected, that select board is going to be so much more exciting. Can you imagine her on that board?
100%. I'll be looking forward even more to you streaming the select board meetings.
Yeah, that we got to make this happen.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I'll share her campaign now that you've actually announced what you're doing. I'm going to be posting her all over the internet.
Good. That's what we need. Anybody but Conley? No, not anyone. Sue Harrington. We got to name Susan Harrington. That's it. Susan Harrington.
Yep.
Anybody. We got somebody better than anyone. It's Susan Harrington.
Yes. She's definitely the one for the job for sure. Here, I'm going to pull up her campaign page if you're all right with it, Mike.
Oh yeah. She also got a Facebook page too that you can get to off of the website.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. Susan Harrington for Canton. Share. I'm working with a laptop here, so. All right, share screen. Bear with me, guys. This is just an itty bitty baby channel. Haven't even been streaming for 2 months yet.
You do fine. You're doing better than me. It would take me 10 minutes.
Okay, here we go. Accountable to all Canton for our best future. Vote April 8th. And then she does have a Facebook and an Instagram right here. This is a nice picture of her. So not only is she a vet, but she was the owner of a veterinary hospital.
That's right.
So yeah, she definitely knows how to lead. And then she does sit on the bylaw modernization committee. So she's served before in some capacity for Canton.
I like that too. Because I've been on boards before, one board for like 10 years, nonprofit. And bylaws, if you know the bylaw, knowing the bylaws is a big part of being a organizational leader. You got to know what's going on. So that's very powerful. That's also going to help her with these clowns on the select board.
Definitely.
Laws and all the rules. I love that. There's so much. The more I look at Susan, the more I realize, like, yeah, she's the one. We got to. We just got to make sure she wins. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if she wants to come on, I will give her a platform. You know it. So feel free to send her my way anytime.
And I hope she gets a YouTube. She needs to get her own YouTube. Like that. The video thing is so powerful. She just did like a 5-minute video even once a week and said, this is the topic of the day, the trash. They're not doing the trash right. I would do this about the recycling, boom, 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 or whatever the issue is, the potholes Boston Mike talked about last night, or the police chief's contract. I mean, that would be an easy 5-minute video to say how you stand, what you think should happen, and what the issue is. Like, the lack of leadership, and compare yourself and contrast yourself to John Conley, who's not doing any of that stuff. And if she does that, she's going to even look more of a rock star, because John Conley isn't capable of doing that stuff. Susan is. You put a camera in front of her. We just saw her. That, like, I've done public speaking at these select board and city hall so many times, and even speaking, at events, at clubs and things like that with a microphone. It's difficult live. When you're live doing something like that, it's very difficult, especially the select board, when you have 3 minutes and everyone's looking at you and it's difficult. And she killed it. And this stuff right here, doing like even a live show is less. It's not as hard, honestly. And pre-recorded video that she just puts out, she could ace that. She'd be done in 5 minutes. She could do that every single day. So
then she'd also have, the opportunity to answer some people's questions for her. If she did 1 or 2 little lives, because there's going to be a handful of people from Canton who are maybe on the fence about voting for her, and they just want to know 1 or 2 things about her views on a couple particulars, and then that's it. And then she just got those people. So yeah, definitely she should definitely at least consider it.
I hope so.
Why Susan Harrington for select board? My husband and I built a home in Canton almost 30 years ago. So they've been here for decades, guys. As we chose this community to raise our family and plant our roots. Then and today, we are inspired by Canton's community, excellent schools, and rich history. Canton is a strong and vibrant community where I have witnessed amazing people give their time and talents serving on committees, on the sports fields, in support of arts, and showing up for neighbors. I'm committed to building on what we have grown here, and I am focused on making Canton a great place to live for years to come. But building a strong Canton of the future means making some changes now. That starts with ensuring that we have a proactive and transparent executive branch of our town government, our select board. I will bring my experience as a business owner and a community leader to my seat on the select board. I will work to represent all Canton residents, and most importantly, I am eager to hear from you. I also want to know what you think about Canton's future, what matters to you. So she actually has a link right here to a survey. So she wants to hear from potential constituents.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that survey. That's a good, that you are great, Britt. You are amazing.
And so if you just click right there, you can let Susan know what you care about in Canton, and she'll read your comments. And I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, another reason I'm loving Susan, because I'm all about that. Like, that's why people like either hate or love my Twitter polls, or I love polls because it gives you feedback. And that's why it was like exploratory committee. I wanted to hear what everyone thought, even the people who didn't like what I was doing. And I think that is so important as a candidate. And that was what was frustrating me. I felt like she was closing herself off. Now I'm seeing this too. And it's just like, yes, this woman knows what she's doing. She knows how to serve. You can tell that's, I wish more candidates, I don't understand why candidates don't actually do that. That would probably be the first thing I did if I was really doing a campaign today, like, pre-planned, and is do that survey. You need data. You need data from whether it's your customers or your constituents, in this case, the people who are the voters. That gives you so much value. That's what I do on the show all the time. I try to get feedback from people.
Yep, exactly.
You have the best guests. You know how I find the best guests? My audience. They tell
your
me.
Audience.
I listen.
Wow.
I ask them. That's how you get it. Data. You get it from the audience. You get it from the voters. You get it from your customers. So I get more and more impressed with her as we find more and more out. She's awesome.
And then here, guys, on the webpage, you can sign up to volunteer. So maybe register voters or just talk to people at the mall or whatever. There's a link to donate right in here, to join somehow, maybe get on a roster. This is ways that you can vote. So she's making it nice and easy for you. Request mail-in ballot. Check my voter status.
Yeah, make sure you're registered. If you're not registered in Canton, get registered right now. There's a deadline. You don't want to. It might even be Tuesday. I don't know when the deadline is, because the Tuesday is apparently the signature gathering. So I imagine the deadline for registration to vote is probably a similar time frame. So if you're not registered, get registered Tuesday. Monday's a holiday.
Yes, it's President's Day. She's got a bio and some pictures of her family here. FAQs. This is an awesome website. Guys, it is linked at the top of the chat. If you want to check this webpage out, please make sure you do. It's linked at the top. Yeah, awesome campaign website. I love what she touches on. I love that she has a mailbox for residents to share what they're concerned about with her. That's amazing.
I'm looking forward to see this election. We got to get the turnout up. We got to, because that last year with Rita Lombardi and Trish Boyden, against the two incumbents, the turnout was way up. We need that again. That needs to happen. Like, we got to get just as many people out to vote. If that happens, she's going to win. If it's a very low turnout, it's going to be John Conley. So that's why I harp on the social media and the YouTube, because I feel like this is her race to win. She should win big, but it's all whether or not she can get all the voters out that should vote. Like, if people stay home, John's going to have his 800-900 people that always vote for him. They're going to show up. You know, she needs a massive number of people. We need high turnout.
100%. What are some other things that you hope that she would do if elected?
I mean, I think the decorum of the whole, just the general feeling of those meetings. You know, like I said, when I was watching Lisa Lopez, the way that she treated the other people on the board and the members of the community, she'll look right at them. Should turn. You don't see that. There's a kind of a disrespect. There's like slouching or just kind of looking down at your computer or looking away. I mean, these guys just, it's like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know, the whole Zoom meeting thing now they don't, you know, they're just staring straight ahead. I mean, they don't even have after all these months of doing a Zoom meeting, right? They have this open comment for people to call in. When the person calls in, they just show themselves. They don't actually show the person on Zoom who's called in. It's like, it's crazy.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing a whole lot of Mike Loughran's face.
Yeah. But then if one of the town workers comes up to speak, they put them on the screen. It's like that level of disrespect. There's a big level of disrespect that they seem to not care about. Like, in the way that they treat people, the lack of transparency, the lack of communication, the disdain for citizens, the disdain for following the rules. It's more like protect the status quo, protect our network. Like, it's like the way that they did the whole audit committee, how they decided, you know, left it to this guy, Bob McCarthy, who's like the most abrasive person. Why would you ever pick somebody like that to lead such a controversial, you know, divided committee? You know that this committee, it was a record vote, so there's a lot of support for it. You pick someone who is the most vocal against it, who's not nice to women, and it's just like, why would you pick that guy and have him lead the committee, and then let him stack it, and then pretend, no, we're fair, we're following what the it was all lies. Like, so just top to bottom, like, that stuff can't go on. And when it goes on, I want her, and I believe she will, speak up and say, this isn't right. I'm not agreeing. I'm not going along. And I think that will give Trish Boyden. I think Trish wants to do the right thing. I think she's a good person too. I think she's done her best that she can. I think she has actually stood up at certain points, you know, when
she
it's
just
important.
needs another person who's with her. You know, Trish is outnumbered up there.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of getting railroaded a little.
Yeah. And I think Susan's going to be the stronger of the two between her and Trish, which is fine. You know, we're not all, you know what I mean?
We're not all alpha people. Yeah.
I feel like Susan's Susan I'm watching this Lisa Lopez.
Hey, Mazza.
They seem very similar. Like, they are classy women who know the right words to say. They're not taking any shit, and they listen, and they know what the score, and they know the games these guys are playing. And that's why they wanted her out, because they couldn't deal with someone on her level. She outclassed them, outsmarted them, out-organized them. And I feel like Susan's on that same level as Lisa Lopez. I want to, you know, next year, I think Chris Albert's up for re-election. I don't know if he'll run. I have a feeling maybe he won't, but if he does, I'm begging that Lisa Lopez to come back. It seems like if we had 3 women on that select board, game over. Game over. Like,
forget 3-2. It's going to be 2-3 from now on.
Probably like some of those men might start caving because they aren't the strongest men. Like, once they're outnumbered, they might be like, you know what, Lisa, you have a point. Like, I could see that. I could see, like, you know, maybe a Mike Lawford all of a sudden wanting to be a lot nicer now that it's women dominated. You know, it's be interesting to see what would happen, but
definitely. Oh, was she already on the board once? Bob's saying that she was.
That's what I'm referring. Well, this was Lisa Lopez. She basically like a year or two ago, there was an issue with her and the current chair, and so I played some of that video when she was a select board member. She lost her reelection to Chris Albert. Apparently, Chris, I think he might have won by like 1 vote or something. It was really close. And Chris didn't tell everybody his background. He didn't own up to the fact that he had tax liens. He didn't own up to the fact that he had, killed someone in a vehicular homicide and left the scene and came back the next day. He didn't own up to any of that, which I feel like is fraud when you don't tell the voters who you really are.
Right. I agree.
I've got tax issues, but I'm working on it. I'm an American dream. Tell the story. Okay. If people accept that, okay. But he wasn't on. So, and I would love to see. It's amazing that they picked that guy over Lisa because Lisa is so qualified. So I hope she runs again. I hope she comes back.
Well, to some extent, it's a popularity contest. It's about, there's somebody who Chris was playing golf with on weekends. Yeah. In all likelihood,
they're all connected. I mean, his brother's, the police officer in the town. They all know each other. That's what it was about. Go vote for our friend. He owns D&E Pizza. He's a good guy. Go vote for him. That's how he won.
Man, unbelievable. And it'll be so great if this happens next year, just to have that Albert influence out of the select board. To actually have a little bit of equal sides, equal voices.
Love to see it. So we got a lot to look forward to. I mean, it's amazing what's going on. Did you see the Turtle Boy interview last night with the juror? Ronnie, I think it was. Ronnie,
I think that's his name. I've watched about the first half of it. Yesterday was, actually, technically today is my grandma's birthday. But she's an interesting grandma. So she's not the sit in a rocking chair and knit kind of grandma. Like, she wears leopard print and parties. And so she wanted to have me, my mom, and my sister-in-law over last night for kind of like a girls' slumber party. So we all brought pajamas. She bought matching PJs for all of us. And we just got together, played cards, watched movies, and went to bed. So I missed it last night, but I watched about the first half of that interview today. And it was very, very eye-opening to see, I wish that the jury could have known about the federal investigation. That would have changed everything.
Definitely. And it's also like really frustrating too that they made such mistakes too on that jury. Like it's like, I feel like it's such an injustice that they don't have either or both a transcript and the actual video that they can refer back to of the trial testimony, because they're supposed to take notes and remember everything.
Right.
And I think they got some facts mixed up. And it just bothered me that, and it seemed like classism was in play too, because they were like, Lucky's not trustworthy because of this misstatement that I don't even think he made them. I think they screwed that up actually, but it's like, you think Lucky's not trustworthy, who is? Yet these other people, like the McCabe's and the Alberts, like you could point to like the butt dials. Do you really you trust that? You trust the people who do the butt dials and destroy their phones? And to me, it was like, are you shitting me? But this is what I expect. People are stupid. Unfortunately, they just believe the system. They're like, oh, well, if she's in that chair, she must be guilty. That's the thought process of a lot.
Yeah, that's so really unbelievably sad because, there needs to be a top to bottom reform in the justice system. We saw what happened at the top just in the past week. The system is designed to prevent itself from correcting its own mistakes. Appellate courts, they don't want to rock the boat and say that a state judge fucked up in any way. Unless, now let's say someone gets wrongly convicted, the only way you can get that conviction turned over, and that's just to get a new trial. That doesn't even mean that you're going to walk. But just to get that conviction overturned, you have to have new evidence that was not present in the first trial. So you could have had potential bias of investigators, potential bias of a judge, potential bias of a jury. You don't get your conviction overturned unless there's whole new evidence that was not available in the first trial. That's why so many people got to walk when DNA technology came out and all that. Also, everybody should get a freaking defense attorney, okay? Yeah. You should get a public defender. You should not only qualify for a public defender if you make a certain amount of money. They evaluate your finances and the size of your household, but you pretty much only qualify for one if you're on freaking welfare, you know? So if you're middle class, you can't afford, you know, $50, $60, $70,000 plus.
They could
for
that's how they get people to plead guilty or, you know, take lesser charges for crimes they didn't do. Because people are like, I can't afford to defend this. I don't have the money. Exactly.
And they were counting on that to happen with Karen as well. That's what they were counting on. So
pin it on the girl.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so much that's wrong. It seems as though this whole innocent until proven guilty thing is beginning to turn on its own head. So, you know, I'd like to see reform in every state. Because I mean, we've seen a lot of problems just in the past week between what Ronnie's told us and what we've seen from the SJC. There's some issues that need to be solved.
Yeah, and congrats to Turtle Boy for getting that interview, because that was like so epic to see it. Long interview, Turtle Boy letting people speak. Like that was a mature interview he did. Like that was. Yeah. I was like, people say I have good interview skills, and Turtle Boy, he's got good interview skills when he's focused and he has a big interview like that. He killed it last night. So, and nobody else got it. Like he deserves it. And it was great to see Aiden Carney getting that interview and kind of throw it in the faces of the mainstream media too. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was happy to see that.
And kudos to Ronnie too.
Yeah. Ronnie, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your bravery to come forward. Nobody would have blamed you if you never would have done it, but we very much appreciate, you know, the enlightenment that you gave all of us.
Yeah. I
if you
think
ever see
who else appreciates it? Karen Reed and the defense team, big time. I think Attorney Betterow is probably very much interested in watching. They've probably already watched it. And a lot of the stuff that Ronnie was saying was stuff kind of like that Betterow was saying on our show. Like it lines up. Like if you look at some of the things, like when Betterow actually had a little bit of, you know, feedback or criticism of the defense, he loves those guys. He loves the defense. He thought, you know, Alan Jackson was like the best ever, pretty much. Like you could tell he has a lot of respect for them. But some of the things, like, you know, reasonable doubt, to just drill down a reasonable doubt, say that over and over and over again. I think Betterow and Jackson and Yannetti and Alessi are just like, okay, like this confirms what we were already, what our plan already was. So let's just triple down and just go for it all the way. And Karen Reed, I'm sure, I think they already knew, but when you watch something like that, you want confirmation that what you're doing is the right thing, the strategy you're doing. And I think that interview gave them a lot of insight last night.
Definitely. And I was really interested in when he said, you know, it's not that the third party culprit theory was a bad call. It's that they chose to present that first. They saved ARCA for very last. And, you know, the jury saw, you know, what may or may not to them have been some smoke and mirrors. So, you know, they definitely would have probably been more receptive to the ARCA witnesses had that been the first two out of the gate for the defense.
Good point.
And I hope they use more witnesses too.
Yeah, I
They're
think yeah.
they only use like 6, right?
Yeah. I think Federer agreed with that too when I made that point on the show. I think he agreed with that too. It's going to be interesting to see the Federer effect, because I think he's going to be a big plus to this. And,
100%.
Yeah, not only like how he handles himself in court and his experience, but the fact that he's been out here with us on social media, on Twitter, for the last year, being the focal point. Do you know how many times I send him information that I don't have time to vet or go after? Everybody has been sending him tips and info about the Aiden stuff too. Like, so I feel like he's probably going to be also like a place where they get a lot of new info, a lot of new angles and thoughts, because people have had, the public has had access
to him.
They've been able to send him messages, talk to him, befriend him, share things with him. So I think that's going to be helpful too.
And, Bettero is very quick on his feet. Just having his brain in the courtroom, I mean, even if he isn't presenting anything, just having him being able to whisper something in Yanetti's ear in the moment like that is going to make a huge difference.
Definitely.
I'm really looking forward to seeing not just how he acts in the courtroom, but I can't tell you how excited I am about this motion to dismiss that's coming out Friday.
Karen, yeah, because they're Aiden's got one. They're both phenomenal. I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, Bettero is a strong writer. I've always respected that about him. It's like his every letter is a work of art. And so this motion to dismiss, if Bettero has a hand in its drafting, it's going to be great. I mean, I think it's going to be one of the best pieces of legal literature that we see this decade.
I'm looking I can't wait to see the next hearings. There's so many bombshells. There's so much paperwork coming out, filings. I can't wait to see like who they have it for witnesses too, like the second round for Karen Reed and Aiden. In terms of, I wonder if I'm going to be a witness for Aiden actually. Related to the Bettero letters. Like, I'm dying. If they want me as a witness, I'm like, put me in, put me in, Bettero. He knows it too. I am like, that's the thing of so funny when he wrote that letter up. He hit me up, but I think he had already written it and sent it out. And he's like, "You good with this?" I said, "You already know I am. You already know, bro. Send it out.
Let it go."
Yeah, he knew. Like I've been telling him, like I'm like what they did to Aiden and even myself to a lesser degree. It's friggin' disgusting. Like they use the same people that he criticized to go after him. Like that is like Tully. Tully investigating him when Aiden has written story after story after story about Tully, and that's not seen as revenge or retaliation.
Yeah, some kind of conflict of interest at the very least.
His job over that.
Yeah,
like he shouldn't have a job right now because of what he did to Aiden.
Neither should Ken Mello.
Yeah, and what he did to me too with that KP, that crusty panties, threatening me.
Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I like to be careful with what I say, but basically, something happened with Aiden around Christmas. Not this year, the year before. So basically, a little over a year ago. What, like 13 months ago? And basically, I had seen something. Someone had sent me some evidence on something.
Okay.
And I wrote about it. I posted about it on Twitter. And
because
of that, Krusty KP, I call her the Krusty Panties because of what she did to me. I didn't call her Krusty Panties until she tried to send the state police at me for doing journalism. And so basically I reported on this documentation I had seen. This and they claimed that I was because of what I posted, which was, oh, you got a great witness here. And I'm talking about Lindsay Gattani because what I heard was horrible. So I said, yeah, here's another great witness you got here in Norfolk County. So they turned around and said I was doing witness intimidation. And not only that, they claimed that I had posted and illegally edited a wiretap audio.
What?
Yeah, which I didn't do any of it. And because Krusty Panties was basically telling everyone, all these people, and even tagging me, and I know at this point, I know the game. I know that she's working directly with the DA. I know that she's working with Brian Tully and that she's the chief rat for them. And now that Aiden's in jail, they're targeting me. And I freaked the hell out. I was like, Aiden's doing 60 days and, all this crap's going on. And I'm like, they're coming after me now.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for Suburbans every day.
Oh my God.
Like basically I had a breakdown. I was
sure. Would you looking over your shoulder like that all the time?
Yeah. And I kind of like, at first I was like, F you, on my show. And then I kind of like went silent. And then I kind of started even doubting, like, I don't know. It's like, cause the way that they were acting, I couldn't figure out like, how are they doing this? Like they seem so confident. And so basically I started even reaching out to some of those people, not KP, but like Carl Dougal's brother, Kenny Dougal. And I said, what do you got? Like, cause he was texting me and saying, she's guilty. She's guilty. I said, okay, bro, what do you have? And I even pretended that I was mad at Aiden. So I sent a couple of messages. And basically, they're full of shit. Like, I talked to a few of them, and they have nothing. They're all lies. They're all full of shit. And they thought they had me on the ropes. So that's when KP started her pressure campaign. She was like, oh, Mike's on the ropes. He's going to rat on Aiden. And I think he might have done something illegal because Mike took a break, and now Mike's talking to Kenny Dougal. So Mike must have done something illegal. They had no proof, and I hadn't done anything illegal. And basically, I took the break because KP was coming at me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like multiple, and it just kept amplifying. Grant gets on the show and calls me. So I basically took a break, got a criminal defense attorney. I got a therapist, and I stopped posting for like a month. I didn't do any shows, and I went through every document again. And I just started like watching what people were doing without commenting back. And like I said, I started talking to those people to see if they actually had anything. And I realized, you know what? Even with my therapist said, like, you're in fear of things that probably aren't real. You know what I mean? Like, you ever think of that? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly. They got me fearing shit that wasn't even real. Like, Karen is still innocent. Karen is innocent. Like, I couldn't get over the car and the body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the misspelling of all the names, like all this stuff. And I just went back to it and said, no, you're doubting yourself, and she's innocent.
Yep.
And these guys that Aiden wrote about are the ones that try to lock him up. Don't listen to all this, this stuff that was starting to get to me was like the stuff that, like, I don't even want to say it, but like the stuff that LG and them were saying about the abortion and all this other crap, that he does all this bad stuff, and because it's all BS. It's all bullshit. Every single bit of it is bullshit. And so I just came back to it. And I will never forget what KP and Tully did to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
they tried to silence me. That's what they wanted. They
exactly.
wanted to shut us up and try to turn us all. And then they started, and then I'm watching these assholes. Like, that's what they are. They started going to women's houses. They're like, oh, you posted something nasty, or you sent an email, or you made a voicemail to one of them. So we're going to go to your house, and we're going to knock on your door and scare your family and your landlord. And we're going to tell them you're going to jail unless you tell us who directed you to do that. Because they were trying to set up Aiden. They were trying to. And these
I remember that.
Nobody.
Panic, especially.
Nobody. There was someone that was a reformed addict. Buchanan went to her house. Drove from Canton, Massachusetts to Gloucester, Mass, to go harass this young lady and basically say, you're a junkie. That's how he treated her.
Jeez.
Like, these people are scumbags. The Mass State Police, they need a clean house. Buchanan, Proctor, Tully, those guys need to lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that they're gonna make the announcement about Proctor before they start this second trial?
No.
Or do you think they're going to keep kicking the can down so that they don't have to admit in open court that he lost his
Yeah,
job?
that's a hard thing to know because we don't know what they're doing in those disciplinary hearing things.
In
Like,
Framington,
yeah.
ironically.
Yeah, it could be like, they haven't even started that. You know what I mean? Like, they might be, like, every time they have a hearing, they might just be like, yeah, well, we need these documentation. You know how they do pretrial conferences?
Mm-hmm.
So we have no idea. And I have no idea how long that could take. I don't know if they're doing it by the book or if what a lot of us believe is probably stalling it because they want to wait till after the case is concluded to do anything. That's the most likely, but we don't know. This might just be the process. I have no idea. And I think it's not likely that, I think if they were going to move quickly, they already would have done it. And that's what they should actually do. Like, if they have a collective bargaining labor agreement and they're supposed to give time. I understand that, but in certain cases, you just got to rip up the contract and say, you know what, union, you can go fine us. You can do whatever you want about it. But if we don't take this action, we may lose the state police. Like the citizens are that mad that they may create a new state police that isn't us. You know what I mean? Because that's where it's at. Like there's such a lack of trust from the citizens to the Mass State Police now. Nobody trusts them.
And they just keep driving the wedge in time after time. I mean, I'm shocked that they're not doing much to save face for themselves.
Yeah, it's arrogance. There's no accountability. Why should they? They run the media. They run the governor's office. The people at the State House have no qualms on giving them budget increases every year. They've got their labor protection from the unions. There's nobody holding them accountable except us screaming, and they just try to ignore us. And
drown it out.
No accountability.
None
That's why
whatsoever.
they hate us. That's why they hate us. Because Turtle Boy, they hate him because he's the only one, and the rest of us, all of us YouTubers, we're the only ones. We're the only ones that give them any accountability on what's been going on. Otherwise, they've been getting away with it. That's why they hate us so much, and that's why they threw Turtle Boy in jail, and they even came after, moms and grandmas, and even myself, who, like, I'm pretty safe. Like, I'm not Turtle Boy. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to be. Like, and I love Turtle Boy. I think we need him. I think, thank God we have him. Like, but it takes a lot to be that kind of person. And I've been it, and maybe in the cannabis space a little bit. And I know what that feels like when you're the guy, when it's hard. And you have to have a certain disposition and a certain type of character. And I just like doing what I do. I and for them to come after me, that just shows you it's a slippery slope. If they start with Turtle Boy, who's next? And that's exactly why anyone who has a YouTube show or a journalist, you should be supporting Turtle Boy because it could be you next.
Exactly. If they're comfortable doing it to him, and all these things set precedent in court, which is why I feel that so much is riding on Karen's case, because what happens with her trial is down the road going to determine what's acceptable for another defendant. And so we can't have this fly. All right. So real quick, Bob requested that we look at Chris Albert's campaign announcement from the Canton Citizen, just to kind of remind everybody what that was like. I'll read it to you. Albert announces candidacy for select board submitted by the committee to elect Chris Albert. Chris Albert is excited to announce that he is running for a seat on the select board in the April 4th town election. A lifelong resident of Canton, Albert attended elementary and middle school in the town, and his wife and two eldest sons are Canton High School graduates. His youngest son is currently a sophomore at CHS. We all know who that is. And several of his nieces and nephews have graduated or are enrolled in the Canton Public Schools. All 6 of his siblings went through the Canton schools as well. We know who those are too. For nearly a quarter century, Albert has been the proud owner of D&E Pizza and Subs in downtown Canton. He has also had the opportunity to serve the community as a youth sports coach and board member for many years. All right, here's a direct quote from Chris. Canton has been my home since I was 2 years old, living on Fairview Road. We know which house that is. Before owning my own home on Meadows Ave for 20 years. We know where that is too. My goal is to give back and support the community in a larger role. Therefore, I'm announcing my candidacy for the select board. Albert said he loves Canton and is eager to become more involved and be of service to his fellow residents. I am dedicated to making our community the best it can be, he said. Thanks for listening, and I would appreciate your support and consideration.
No mention of the tax liens there. No mention of the tax liens or the Peter Berger who didn't make it home that night, and Chris left him there and came back the next day. None of that. None of that's in there.
No, none whatsoever. I find it very hard to believe that Bev did not see a conflict of interest with the fact that her brother defended him in that case.
I think it was her father, actually. I believe. Was
it her father?
I think it was. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, a family member of hers.
It is a family member. Close.
Yeah,
family.
he evaded the police for 2 days, guys.
That's right. You're right. I say the next day. Well, it was. You're right. It was 2 days. That's even worse. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah. Evaded police after, an OUI manslaughter. And I'm sure it's because he was worried about getting breathalyzed or something. Probably waited for it to roll off and then walks in.
Yep. Walked in with a lawyer. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No mention of that in the article. No mention of that in his biography. It'd be one thing to me if he had told the story and said, I made a big mistake. I'm running because I want to make sure no kids are, drunk driving. I want to be the OUI guy. I want to go into the schools. I want to work with He didn't do that. Like that, to me, that would have been okay. This guy's taking responsibility for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's not hiding it, telling the truth, and he's moving on and trying to be protected. That's what we want, right? But he didn't do that. He hit it. That to me is like, it's voter fraud. You're not telling voters who you really are. Which
you're telling them you're a weasel.
Yeah, now it tells us who he really is, actually. The fact that he wasn't honest about any of that stuff tells us who he really is.
Yep. 100%.
Like you said,
totally slimy.
He is a weasel.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he is. He's a little weasel.
That's how I've seen him since day one. All the way from down in Florida. Hey, you're supposed to be going on with John tonight too, right? I probably better let you go.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. Yeah.
What time is it there now?
What is it? It's 6:30.
What time is it? Oh, okay.
I can use a break in between, especially when you're like, I love you. I really appreciate this platform with you. I feel like it's just easy. I know, John, it's gonna be like,
if he's wearing clothes, you're really, really fortunate too. But take a breather. You're welcome back on anytime. I could talk with you all day. So
and definitely, I would like to get you on my show too. So that's mutual.
All right. Well, just say the word. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your thoughts with us. We all appreciate having you. Guys, make sure you're showing Mike plenty of love in the chat. I'll go ahead and wrap it up on my own and let you go. Get something.
I appreciate you too, and I like your show. I like what you're doing. I've been supporting you because I like the content. I watch your interviews. I like your style. Right away when you interviewed me on DJ's show, Calling on Beans, I was like, I like Brett. I just knew you ask good questions. You think about things. You're serious about this, and I really appreciate you. And tonight I find out that you're not only that you're a musician, which makes sense to me now. Like you're well rounded and down to earth, and I really like you. And I want to see more success for you. So I hope everyone subscribes. Everyone subscribe to Britt. Make sure you're following her and keep coming back because she's delivering good content.
Well, thanks so much, Mike. Shucks, that means the world, especially coming from you. So, well, I hope you have a great night. I'm going to be astral projecting everybody to John's show to watch more of Mike. Guys, make sure you go to the Canton Chronicle at 8:00 and watch Mike on there too. Oh, Thomas, I play when you're a music ed major, you have to be able to play damn near everything, at least from an elementary to upper high school level, so you can teach K through 12. Primarily, I'm a saxophone player, though. That's my main instrument. So
very cool.
But thank you again, Mike. I hope you have a wonderful night. Anytime you want to come back on, just say the word. You've got a home here.
Thank you, Britt. And like I said earlier, Susan Harrington, let's support her. Susan Harrington, we gotta beat the incumbent John Connolly. So please help her out, especially if you live in Canton. If you know people in Canton, make sure they're gonna vote, they're registered, and they're ready to vote for Susan Harrington. Thank 100%. You. Thank you, Britt, for getting the word out tonight too. This was so great. And you discovered new shit tonight too, which is like that survey. I didn't know that survey existed. I think that is so cool. So thank you for spreading the word and finding out new info too. Thank you, Brett.
Always happy to put on my FBI hat for you.
You're amazing.
All right. Well, you have a great night, Mike. Thank you so much.
Bye now.
All righty, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. Just to give y'all a tiny bit of what's coming next. We're going to be back here on Friday, time TBD. We're going to have Nan Gallagher on with us. We're going to go through that motion to dismiss. Right now, we're planning for Friday, but Nan said that sometimes they submit this shit super late. So it may end up being Saturday or Sunday that we're able to actually go through it together. So yeah, make sure you're back that day. And then DJ from Calling All Beings is actually going to be coming back and having his first appearance on this show on Sunday, the 23rd. So yeah, so far we've got plans for Friday, the 21st and Sunday, the 23rd. So make sure you're here for those. Sherry, thank you so much for your 5. So glad you were here tonight. Sarah and Shock and Horror, thank you again. Sherry D, thank you again. Always love having you. And thank you a third time, Sherry D. We love Sherry D here. Thank you so much for your support. If you guys would like to support the channel does have bills. Like, the more I want to do for you guys, the more I gotta cough it up to do this stuff. So make sure that y'all are reading the scrolling banner at the bottom with means and methods by which you can support the channel. If you would like to do that, you can also leave your fingerprints and DNA evidence on that like button. It helps the channel out a lot as well. Thank you all so much. Make sure that you vote Susan Harrington for select board. We're going to get John Connolly out of there. Mike endorses her. John Camo is going to be endorsing her probably. Boston Mike is behind her. So yeah, please make sure that you all give her your support. There is a link pinned at the chat to get to her campaign page where you can donate toward her campaign, where you can register to vote. You can learn all about who she is, what she's about, and you can even submit your concerns for Canton. And she'll read it. She wants to know what you guys care about and what you want to see from her on the Canton Select Board. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. Thank you oh so much for being here, and I will see you hopefully this Friday. So good having you. Peace, love, and butt dials to you all.